Chapter 1653. Just like that, there were 4 more people in Lu Ming's team. Over the next 2 days, Lu Ming and the others wandered around and invited a few more people to join forces. For example, the yellow-robed young man and another powerhouse whose combat strength was not weaker than Yi Dongfang's. In addition, there were a few weaker sky prides. In this way, there were more than a dozen people in total. For example, there were 4 people at the same level as Yi Dongfang and Huang Ling. Lu Ming, what is your plan? Huang Ling finally could not help but ask Lu Ming. I have a way to change one's aura. I can change my own aura. I will first disguise myself as a native and approach the top of the mountain. Then, you guys will pretend to attack and attract a portion of the powerhouses while I rush in and save those who need to be saved. Then we will break out of the encirclement together. Lu Ming said. Can't others recognize your aura-changing technique? Some people had doubts about it. Lu Ming smiled. He activated his illusory technique, and his aura changed to be exactly the same as that person's. Everyone's expression changed drastically. There was actually such a mystical secret technique. Lu Ming smiled. The illusory technique that he had obtained in the Divine Wilderness continent was indeed very mystical. Even now, it was still very useful. As long as your cultivation doesn't exceed mine by too much, they won't be able to sense it. It won't be a problem to deceive a few bright sages for a short period of time. Lu Ming said. All right, let's do that. Yi Dongfang waved his hand, and a trace of fighting spirit appeared in his eyes. The others also agreed. This method was better than directly attacking. Wait for me in the distance. When I get close to the top of the mountain, I will send a message to Huang Ling. Then it will be time to strike. Lu Ming said. The others nodded. Then, Lu Ming landed on the ground. The chaotic territory transformed into the earth territory. Lu Ming's body directly sank into the ground and disappeared. Lu Ming shuttled underground, completely retracting his aura as he headed towards the Alliance Mountain. When Lu Ming got close to the Ming Mountain, he chose a lone cultivator of the 9th layer Martial Emperor realm and killed him instantly. Then Lu Ming changed his clothes and his appearance quickly changed. In the end, he looked exactly the same as his opponent. Even his aura was exactly the same. After throwing the corpse into a cave, Lu Ming swaggered back to the peak. Along the way, Lu Ming was naturally unimpeded. Very quickly, he arrived at the top of the mountain. In front of them, a huge blood-colored tiger suddenly opened its eyes. Its gaze was like lightning as it fell on Lu Ming, as if it wanted to see through Lu Ming. This blood-red tiger was one of the 4 Saint Stage powerhouses guarding the mountain peak. What are you doing here? The blood-red tiger opened its mouth. Holy might permeated the air, and its aura was oppressive. Senior, I have important news to report to you. Lu Ming said. What news? The blood-red tiger said. This. Lu Ming hesitated for a moment. He deliberately looked to his left and right. He held a message transmission jade talisman in his hand, and secretly sent a message to Huang Ling. In the distance, in a cluster of clouds, Huang Ling received Lu Ming's message. Lu Ming has sent a message. Attack. Huang Ling said. Suddenly, more than 10 figures rushed toward the Ming Mountain rapidly. The air whistled and released a terrifying aura. They have finally made their move. The blood-red tiger sneered. It looked in the direction of Huang Ling and the others, but its body did not move. Boom. Boom. At that moment, in the Ming Mountain, terrifying auras shot up into the sky. Sacred might was vast and mighty. 10 different figures rushed out. There were indeed terrifying powerhouses lying in ambush here. 10 Saint Stage powerhouses charged toward Huang Ling and the others. Oh no, there are too many of them. Retreat. Huang Ling shouted. They quickly retreated. Don't let them escape. A Saint Stage powerhouse roared. 10 Saint Stage powerhouses chased after Huang Ling and the others. Humph, this time, all of them must stay here. The blood-red tiger sneered. It then looked at Lu Ming and said, What did you want to report just now? Senior, I wanted to say that someone else has sneaked in. Lu Ming said. Who? The blood-red tiger's eyes shone with golden light. That is me. Lu Ming suddenly let out a loud roar. He stomped his foot and the ground cracked. Lu Ming's figure dashed toward the crimson tiger and threw a punch at it. Lu Ming used almost all of his strength in this punch. The blood-red tiger did not expect Lu Ming to attack. It wanted to dodge, but it was too late. The punch landed on the blood-red tiger's head. Although the blood-red tiger was a Saint stage powerhouse, it could not withstand the blow. Its head exploded and its body flew out. Whoosh! Lu Ming rushed over. His glabella shone and the mountain river illustration appeared. A beam of light shone down and shrouded the disciples of Phoenix Palace. The disciples of Phoenix Palace were sucked into the mountain river illustration. Then the mountain river illustration shone again and sucked in the disciples of Thunder God sect. Courting death. Attacking, kill him. At this time, the saints guarding the other directions finally reacted. They were furious and charged toward Lu Ming. Keep. Lu Ming controlled the mountain river diagram and frantically put away those youths. A pagoda appeared above his head. The bubbles cast the space-time domain and 3 transparent bubbles suddenly enveloped the 3 saints, causing them to stop in their tracks in mid-air. Bubbles had reached the Sage-to-Be realm and was extremely powerful. The space-time territory was enough to affect the saints. When the 3 saints broke free from the influence of the space-time territory, Lu Ming had already sucked in more than half of the youths on the mountain peak. Kill! A loud shout came from the Alliance Mountain. A beam of demonic light shot out, and an elder in a black robe appeared. He exuded a terrifying aura. It's him! Lu Ming narrowed his eyes. This elder in a black robe had also fought outside the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. He was a great success bright sage and was extremely powerful. Lu Ming was no match for him. Let's go. Lu Ming kept the mountain river illustration and rushed into the distance. Ah, save us, save us. The remaining youths screamed crazily, including the people of the Golden Crow tribe. However, Lu Ming's eyes were cold. He couldn't care less about these people. Moreover, these people's sect prodigies had retreated. For example, the 10th prince of the Golden Crow tribe and Lu Ming didn't need to save them. Lu Ming was saving their fellow sect prodigies who had joined forces with them. Stay here. The elder in a black robe was filled with murderous intent. Demonic chi surged into the sky as a huge palm print smashed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming asked Bubbles to open the space-time tunnel. He rushed into the space-time tunnel, and when he reappeared, he was near Huang Ling and the others. Let's go. The group of people gathered and flew forward at an extremely fast speed. However, in the next moment, Lu Ming and the others' faces changed drastically. Chapter 1654. Boom. 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 In front, there were a total of 10 auras, like smoke signals, extremely terrifying. The most shocking thing was that there were 4 auras, each of which was not weaker than the black-robed old man. They were not ordinary saints, but great success bright saints. There was even one whose aura was earth-shattering, much stronger than a great success bright saint. Peak bright saint. Many people turned pale. This time, the other party had sent out peak bright saints, and there were 4 great success bright saints and more than a dozen minor success bright saints. This lineup was too terrifying. If they were surrounded, they would only have a dead end, and there would be no chance. All of you, enter my mountain river diagram. Lu Ming roared, summoning the mountain river diagram. With so many people together, they would definitely not be able to rush out. If Lu Ming was alone, it might be possible. The others did not resist. Lu Ming's combat strength exceeded theirs. If Lu Ming could not rush out, they certainly could not. Suddenly, everyone was taken into the mountain river diagram by Lu Ming. Then Lu Ming used the wind thunder steps, changed direction, and rushed out like a bolt of lightning. This kid has a grotto heaven treasure. Don't let him escape. There was a roar. More than 20 Saint Realm experts chased after Lu Ming crazily. Among them, the peak bright saint expert was the fastest. He took the lead and quickly chased after Lu Ming. Behind him, the 4 great success bright saints, including the black-robed old man, also quickly followed. No matter how wonderful the wind thunder steps was, and how fast the speed was, Lu Ming's cultivation was, after all, only in the first stage of the Sage-to-Be. There was a huge gap between him and a great success bright saint, or even a peak bright saint, so in terms of speed he was still behind. Whoosh! The peak bright saint expert was extremely fast, and quickly approached Lu Ming. A terrifying saber light slashed out from his hand and slashed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's face changed. He was no match for a peak bright saint. At this time, the bubble opened a space-time channel, and Lu Ming rushed into the space-time channel, appearing thousands of miles away. Space-time domain, damn it. That peak bright sage powerhouse roared, and the aura on his body roared. His speed suddenly increased, and he turned into a stream of light, dashing toward Lu Ming at high speed. In an instant, he traveled thousands of miles. So fast. Lu Ming's expression changed greatly. He quickly flew away, but it didn't take long for the other party to close in on him again. Lu Ming could only have Bubble open the space-time tunnel again. Just like that, after a few consecutive times, the other saints had already been left far behind. However, that peak bright saint existence was still following closely behind. This can't go on. Lu Ming's mind kept turning. Bubble's ability to open a space-time channel consumed a lot of energy. It couldn't be opened continuously. At most, it could open it a dozen times before it ran out of energy. The space-time tunnel could only be used to save one's life at critical moments, but it was unrealistic to use it to travel. If this continued, the other party would catch up to Lu Ming before he could rush out of the 100-clan battlefield to the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He could only go to the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb and risk it. If it really didn't work, Lu Ming could only use the Reincarnation Halberd. However, the Reincarnation Halberd only had 2 beams of energy. If it exploded at full power, it could kill experts below the Emperor level. It was too precious. It was simply a waste to use it on a peak bright sage expert. Unless it was a last resort, Lu Ming was absolutely unwilling to use it. Lu Ming immediately changed direction and flew towards the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. Fortunately, it wasn't too far away from the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. Every time Lu Ming was about to be caught by the other party, Lu Ming would let Bubble open a space-time tunnel to increase the distance between them. Then he would rely on himself to fly, giving Bubble time to recover. When the other party was close, he would open a space-time tunnel to increase the distance between them. Just like that, one chased the other. Boundless mountains and rivers flitted past under their feet. After an unknown period of time, just as Bubble's energy was about to be exhausted, a huge mountain that had been split in half appeared in front of them. They had arrived at the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He rushed straight into the tunnel. A strong pressure pressed down on Lu Ming. Lu Ming strode forward. Not long after, the peak bright sage expert also arrived. He also rushed into the tunnel. Bam! He was caught off guard. The terrifying pressure pressed down on him. Even with his peak bright sage cultivation, he fell directly to the ground and almost fell flat on his face. Boom! The peak bright sage expert's saint power surged. He wanted to break through the pressure and catch up to Lu Ming. However, it was useless. It seemed that the stronger one's cultivation, the stronger the pressure. In the end, his face was flushed red. He could only step forward and chase after Lu Ming. The two of them moved forward in the tunnel. Very soon a day had passed. A day had passed, and the tunnel was still boundless. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. When they came out, they had finished this tunnel in a day. Now that a day had passed, it was still a long way ahead. Could it be that when they went in it took half a month, but when they came out, it only took a day? Very soon, Lu Ming's guess was confirmed. Time passed day by day, but they still had not finished the tunnel. The peak bright sage existence was a thin middle-aged man. At this time, his face was extremely gloomy. However, he was an old monster who had lived for a long time. Naturally, he was very patient. Time passed, and half a month had passed. They finally reached the end of the tunnel. Lu Ming stepped into the tunnel and entered the tomb area. Suddenly, the tomb lit up. Shadows appeared and attacked Lu Ming. Boom, boom. Lu Ming punched a few times consecutively. He defeated a few shadows and rushed forward quickly. Not long after, the peak bright sage existence also rushed through the tunnel and stepped into the tomb area. However, just as the peak bright sage existence stepped into the tomb area, a few tombs emitted a bright light. The power of laws surged violently. Those few shadows almost became solid. Die Sage. The shadow of a flaming bull let out a long roar and stomped down. Raging flames burned fiercely. That peak bright sage expert's expression changed drastically. He slashed out with his saber, but the saber light shattered. That Huanyo stomped on his chest. The peak bright sage expert screamed miserably as he was sent flying far away. Blood spurted from his mouth. His chest had exploded. If it weren't for his high cultivation base and strong life force, he would have died. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. When the other party rushed in, the laws on the tombs collectively went berserk, erupting with a terrifying attack. It heavily injured the peak bright sage existence. Could it be that the sage realm can't enter here? Once a sage realm expert steps in, it will cause the laws on the tombs to go berserk? Lu Ming's imagination ran wild. This was a pleasant surprise. He had wanted to enter the land of reincarnation to avoid the other party's pursuit, but now it seemed that there was no need. Haha, old man, if you have the ability, come and chase me. Lu Ming could not help but laugh. Little bastard, just you wait. Unless you hide in there forever. Chapter 1655. That guy will definitely block me and the other Sage Realm experts at the entrance of the passage. Lu Ming thought to himself as he watched the other party leave. Now he could only stay here for a while. Lu Ming went deeper into the tombs and soon arrived at the intersection. On both sides of the intersection, above the two tombs, there was a true dragon and a phoenix. Both of them were very powerful, but with Lu Ming's current combat strength and the help of his previous body and bubbles, he managed to rush past them and arrived at the Yellow Spring River. Lu Ming summoned the mountain river diagram, which glowed. Huang Ling, Yi Dongfang and the others, as well as those who had been saved by Lu Ming, all appeared by the Yellow Spring River. Is this the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb? Huang Ling, Yi Dongfang, and the others recognized the place as soon as they came out. Those who had not entered were puzzled and looked around. When they saw the Yellow Spring River, their faces darkened. That's right, this is the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. Lu Ming's face was solemn as he said, "It seems that we will have to stay here for a while. The other party is too strong. With my cultivation, I can't shake them off. We can only hide here for now. It's good enough that we're here. What's your plan next?" Huang Ling looked at Lu Ming. Not only was Lu Ming's combat strength amazing, but he was also resourceful and meticulous. He had left a deep impression on her. Cultivate and improve. When we're strong enough, we'll rush out, Lu Ming said. This time Lu Ming had saved nearly 500 people. Most of them were elites with superior earth spiritual bodies. With the addition of those with heavenly spiritual bodies, as long as their strength improved, they could join forces and rush out. We can cultivate here without worry. Those native sages can't come in. Lu Ming told them about the changes in the tomb. Everyone was relieved. Lu Ming, no matter what, we have to thank you this time. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to save them, Huang Ling said sincerely. That's right. This time, it's all thanks to Lu Ming. Regardless of whether I can escape successfully or not, I, Yi Dongfang, will remember this favor, Yi Dongfang said. Lu Ming, we were wrong to attack you back then. I hope you don't take offense. Xia Ding and the other three also stepped forward and expressed their gratitude to Lu Ming. It's all right. I promised to help Huang Ling save the people from Phoenix Palace. Saving you guys is just a matter of convenience. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Next, everyone split up in twos and threes, looking for a place to cultivate. Lu Ming returned to the Bridge of Helplessness, but Mengpo was nowhere to be seen. Lu Ming sized up the whirlpool, but in the end he didn't jump down. He sat cross-legged at the head of the bridge and swallowed the oars to regulate his breathing. When Lu Ming's cultivation recovered, Lu Ming entered the mountain and river diagram, and came to the Enlightenment Ancient Tree. Previously, when Lu Ming had put Huang Ling and the others into the mountain and river diagram, his second body had hidden it with the mountain and river diagram. Therefore, Huang Ling and the others didn't see Lu Ming's Enlightenment Ancient Tree. After all, the Enlightenment Ancient Tree was too precious. If others saw it, there would be unnecessary trouble. Although the mountain and river diagram was precious, everyone present was a genius of an emperor-level force. Naturally, they had seen similar treasures before, so they weren't too surprised. Lu Ming sat cross-legged under the Enlightenment Ancient Tree, quietly comprehending the Tao and comprehending the chaotic domain. He hoped to cultivate the chaotic domain into the chaotic law as soon as possible. As long as he cultivated the chaotic domain into the chaotic law and entered the second stage of the sage to be, Lu Ming's strength would skyrocket. At that time, he wouldn't be afraid of facing someone in the great success bright sage realm. He was even confident that he could take a few blows from a peak bright sage realm expert. At that time, his chances of escaping would be greatly increased. At the same time, Ming Lian's second body was also cultivating. Ming Lian's second body had already ignited 10 spirit lamps. Next, he would also use inscriptions to communicate with the law and step into the second stage of the sage to be. As for Bubble, she was also cultivating. The others were the same. In this area, no one disturbed them. Everyone was single-mindedly improving their strength. Outside, there were Saint Realm experts from various clans surrounding them. Everyone was under great pressure. When the pressure was great, they improved faster when they cultivated, turning the pressure into strength. Day after day, time flew by quickly. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Ming Lian's second body had been cultivated to the limit. It seemed that he could communicate with the law at any time and step into the second stage of the sage to be. However, at this moment, Lu Ming had to consider which law to cultivate for his second body. In the Saint Realm, generally one could only control one law. When breaking through to the Saint Realm, one would use the law as the foundation to condense a saint heart. The way of inscription could use inscriptions to borrow all kinds of energy between heaven and earth. Of course, it could also be used to comprehend those laws. But most of those laws were ordinary laws such as metal, wood, water, and fire. But in the way of inscription, there were 3 extremely powerful laws. They were the law of array, the law of tools, and the law of alchemy. These 3 laws were extremely powerful. Mastering each of them was terrifying. Each of them was very difficult to comprehend. They were the supreme laws in the hearts of those who cultivated the way of inscription. Even if they were not comparable to the law of primal chaos, they were powerful laws that were close to the law of primal chaos. Lu Ming's ambition was to comprehend one of the laws. Which one should he comprehend? The law of array. In the end, Lu Ming made up his mind. The law of array could evolve into endless offensive and defensive techniques. There were thousands of changes and endless. Legend had it that after someone comprehended the law of array, they could use the law of array to deduce the law of destruction, and so on. They all had terrifying power and could destroy heaven and earth. Although the law of array was extremely difficult to comprehend, Lu Ming had the Tai Chi array disc. The Tai Chi array disc seemed to contain the law of array. After choosing a direction, Ming Lian's second body began to cultivate again. In the blink of an eye, another 3 months had passed. It had been 4 months since they entered the reincarnation emperor's tomb. At this time, Ming Lian's second body's cultivation had reached a critical moment. In the mountain river diagram, 10 golden spirit lamps appeared above Ming Lian's second body's head. In the end, they formed a golden pillar of fire that shot into the sky as if it wanted to communicate with the law of array. The Tai Chi array disc floated in the air and emitted a strange light that sprinkled on Lu Ming's body. Buzz. At this moment, in the sky, there was a strange force that landed on Ming Lian's second body. At this moment, dense runes appeared on Ming Lian's second body. These runes were similar to inscriptions, but were many times more advanced. This was the embodiment of the law of array. Lu Ming and the others had comprehended the law of array. Whoosh! Lu Ming suddenly stood up and struck out with his palm. Dense runes appeared on his palm and formed a dazzling battle sword. He slashed forward and a sword chi split a small hill in half. Then he took a step forward and runes appeared, condensing into a true dragon that flew out. Amazing! Is this the law of array? Chapter 1656. Precepts were formless and untouchable, but they truly existed. After a cultivator comprehended the precepts, their every move contained the power of the precepts, and their power was astonishing. Ming Lian's second body had reached the second stage of the half-saint realm first. The next step was to reach the third stage of the half-saint realm, the vessel of precepts. At that time, he could begin to break through to the saint realm. Ming Lian's second body's breakthrough had undoubtedly greatly improved Lu Ming's strength, but it was not enough. Lu Ming's main body had not yet broken through. Next, Ming Lian's second body continued to cultivate and familiarize himself with the use of the precepts of the matrix. Time passed quickly, and the days passed quickly. Many people had made breakthroughs during this period of time. Many of the heavens prides with superior earth spiritual bodies used to be in the first stage of the half-step sage realm. Now they had broken through to the second stage of the half-step sage realm. Many of them who were in the second stage of the half-step sage realm had now entered the third stage of the half-step sage realm. Most importantly, Xia Ding and other geniuses with heavenly spiritual bodies had also broken through to the third stage of the half-saint realm, the vessel of precepts. In this way, their combat strength had greatly increased, and they were no weaker than Huang Ling, Yi Dongfang, and the others. Yi Dongfang and the others were originally in the third stage of the half-saint realm. During this period of time, they had reached the limit of the half-saint realm. If not for the 100-clan battlefield, they could have broken through to the saint realm if they were outside. In general, their strength had greatly improved. They were waiting for Lu Ming to come out of seclusion. As long as Lu Ming came out, they could join forces and break out. Just over a month after the second body's breakthrough, Bubble also broke through. The space-time domain had transformed into the space-time precepts. Previously, Lu Ming had asked Huang Ling and the others about what the 10 strongest precepts in the world were. The chaos precepts were known as the emperor of all precepts, and were naturally one of the 10 strongest precepts. The transmigration precepts were also one of the 10 strongest precepts in the world. The space-time precepts controlled time and space, and were also one of the 10 strongest precepts. Therefore, it was extremely difficult to cultivate the space-time precepts. Even Bubble, who was born with the ability to control time and space, and had the space-time crystal given by the Titan longhorn beetle, had taken a long time to successfully cultivate and comprehend the space-time precepts, and enter the second stage of the half-saint realm. At this point, Bubble's combat strength had undergone a qualitative change, reaching a terrifying level. Under the Tree of Enlightenment, Lu Ming was still cultivating. From the primal chaos domain to the law of primal chaos, this step was extremely difficult to cross. Back then, the Reincarnation Emperor had given Lu Ming a wisp of true chaotic qi. After Lu Ming had refined it, not only had his spiritual body become much stronger, but it had also allowed Lu Ming to truly comprehend chaotic qi, which would be of great help to his comprehension of the laws of chaos. But even so, after such a long time, Lu Ming still hadn't broken through. A month after Bubble's breakthrough, half a year after they entered the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb, the chaotic domain around him finally changed. The dense primal chaos domain vanished without a trace. At this moment, Lu Ming had an epiphany. He opened his eyes, and the corners of his mouth curled into a smile. With a thought, an invisible ripple spread out between the heavens and the earth. Then, a strand of primal chaos qi revolved around Lu Ming's finger. Law of primal chaos. A strange light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes, as if primal chaos qi was circulating. After half a year of bitter cultivation, Lu Ming had finally mastered the laws of chaos, and stepped into the second stage of the sage-to-be. His strength had skyrocketed. Lu Ming himself didn't know how powerful the laws of chaos were. It's time to go out. Lu Ming got up and took a step forward, appearing outside the mountain river diagram. Then he stepped onto the bridge of helplessness, only to find that many people had gathered in a circle and seemed to be paying attention to something. Lu Ming walked over and came to Yi Dongfang's side. "Brother Lu, you've broken through?" Feeling Lu Ming's aura, Yi Dongfang's eyes lit up. Lu Ming's combat strength was already extremely shocking. If he broke through, it would probably be even more terrifying, and they would have a greater chance of breaking out. "Yes, I broke through by luck." Lu Ming nodded. Chirp, a phoenix's cry rang out. "Phoenix spirit." Lu Ming's eyes flickered. It turned out that there was a flame burning in the place where everyone was watching. A phoenix was flying in the flame, but Phoenix Spirit's figure was nowhere to be seen. It seems that Phoenix Spirit is about to undergo nirvana. Once she succeeds, I'm afraid I won't be her opponent anymore. Yi Dongfang sighed. "Phoenix Nirvana?" Lu Ming whispered. "Yes, The bloodline that Phoenix Spirit awakened in the past was the immortal heavenly phoenix, one of the top 10 battle beasts. It's no small matter. After she cultivated into a spiritual body, at first, it was only an inferior earth spiritual body. However, the immortal heavenly phoenix body has a special characteristic, which is to continuously undergo nirvana and rebirth. Every time she undergoes nirvana, her spiritual body will rise by a level, which is extremely shocking. After this successful nirvana, her spiritual body will probably reach the intermediate earth spiritual body stage. Yi Dongfang explained with envy in his eyes. This is so similar to my 9 dragons bloodline. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. When the 9 dragons bloodline first condensed a spiritual body, it was also an inferior earth spiritual body. It needed to devour and refine the spiritual essence of the true dragon to continuously advance. However, the immortal heavenly phoenix body could achieve evolution through nirvana and rebirth. Perhaps, those who had awakened the bloodline of the top 10 battle beasts were not simple. Moreover, in the world for countless years, there had been those who could stand shoulder to shoulder with the top 10 battle beasts, or even surpass them. Once such a bloodline was awakened, it would be extremely terrifying. It seemed that there were spiritual bodies that could continuously evolve like the dragon god battle body. After all, spiritual bodies were not bloodlines. Bloodlines were innate. Once awakened, they could be improved, but they could be improved through nirvana pills. As for spiritual bodies, they were cultivated from bloodlines, not innate. Perhaps the restrictions were not so great, and it was normal for them to be able to evolve. The flame became more and more intense. The phoenix let out a long cry and flew continuously. However, a day later, the raging flame seemed to have burned to the limit and quickly converged, revealing Phoenix Spirit's figure. At this time, although Phoenix Spirit's cultivation was still at the 3rd stage of the sage-to-be, the pressure she gave off was much stronger than before. Even Lu Ming felt a trace of pressure. Phoenix Spirit's spiritual body had successfully evolved and reached the intermediate heaven spiritual body. Phew. The flame disappeared and Phoenix Spirit stood up. Congratulations, Phoenix Spirit. Congratulations, congratulations. Yi Dongfang, Xiading, and the others congratulated Phoenix Spirit. There was envy in their eyes, but they were not discouraged. The higher the spiritual body level, the stronger the talent and the stronger the combat strength of the same level. However, their future achievements might not be stronger. They were also heaven spiritual bodies, and had the potential to break through to the Emperor realm. In the future, when they cultivated to the martial Emperor realm, it was hard to say whose achievements would be higher. Chapter 1657. Huang Ling nodded and expressed her gratitude to the crowd. She then glanced at Lu Ming. Huang Ling, I just had a breakthrough too. Let's break out of here today. Lu Ming said. His eyes flickered sharply. All right, let's break out of here today. The others nodded. Their faces flickered with murderous intent. They were all geniuses with great pride. However, they had been forced to hide here for half a year because of the local tribes. They had been holding back their anger for a long time. Let's go. Lu Ming immediately took the lead and strode toward the exit. Almost 500 people followed behind Lu Ming. Their auras were shocking. Soon he arrived at the passageway leading to the entrance of the passageway. Sure enough, the time needed to cross the passage was only a short one day. As they crossed the exit, a loud roar could be heard from outside. They are coming out! Bang! 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 Immediately, terrifying auras burst out from all directions outside the passage. They were the auras of Sacred Realm experts. There were around 20 of them. These people were unwilling to give up. They had been waiting here for half a year. Over 20 figures arrived in the air. They were encapsulated in sacred glows. Their auras were as heavy as mountains. Kill! Lu Ming let out a roar and charged forward. Kill, kill, kill. The rest of the young men immediately charged forward, firing terrifying attacks at Qin Nan. Their strength had improved significantly compared to half a year ago. Die. An expert in the lesser success stage of the bright sacred realm fixed his eyes on Lu Ming and threw a punch at Lu Ming. You're the one who's going to die. Lu Ming said coldly. He executed the hell-suppressing heaven art and threw a punch forward. The punch contained the power of the law of chaos. Bang! Lin Fan's fist collided with the opponent's palm. The opponent's expression changed drastically as he screamed in agony. His palm directly exploded. Lin Fan's terrifying force continued to bombard the opponent with devastating force. No! The other party screamed in terror. Then under this move his body was torn apart. His saint heart was shattered, and he died on the spot. With just a single move, he had killed a radiant saint in the lesser mastery. The other saints by the side sucked in a cold breath. Wang. Suddenly, the void rippled, and the space in front of the other bright saint expert shattered like a mirror. The body of the bright saint expert also shattered like a mirror. Another small success bright saint expert had died. Bubble had used the laws of spacetime to instantly kill a sage realm expert. Chirp! On the other side, Huang Ling was bathed in her undying flames. She struck out with her palm, and a blazing phoenix flew out. A radiant saint expert was sent flying, and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. He was severely injured by Huang Ling in one move. As for Yi Dongfang, Xiading, and the others, they also unleashed their full strength. Every one of them could fight against a saint, and they were not weak at all. Together with the other 500 Sky Prides, their combined might was terrifying. With their combined might, they were able to completely block off the other party's attack. You're courting death. A black-robed old man with cold eyes charged toward Lu Ming. This person was a radiant saint expert in the greater mastery. A demonic palm print blasted toward Lu Ming. Its combat strength was several times stronger than that of a small success bright saint expert. A chaotic flipping sky seal suddenly appeared in Lu Ming's palm, and he smashed it toward the old man. The chaotic flipping sky seal was activated with the laws of spacetime. Its power was even more terrifying, and it directly smashed the old man's demonic palm print. It seems like the peak radiant saint expert is not here for the time being. Then let's kill this guy. Lu Ming's eyes burst out with cold murderous intent. His glabella shone, and Ming Lian's second body stepped out. The Tai Chi array shone, and a Tai Chi yin-yang fish pattern pressed toward the black-robed old man. The black-robed old man's demonic light burst out, and he struck out two palms to resist the Tai Chi yin-yang fish pattern. But at this moment, he was shocked to find that his movements had slowed down, as though he was in slow motion. Swoosh! A sword formed by the space slashed across, and a sword wound appeared on the black-robed old man's body. Blood flowed out, and his body was almost cut into two. Kill. Lu Ming would not let go of such an opportunity. With a loud roar, the divine sword art attacked the old man's soul. When Lu Ming broke through to the second stage of the Sage-to-Be realm, his soul had been refined, and he had finally broken through the limit. Now Lu Ming's soul power was equivalent to the soul power of a radiant saint expert of the initial stage. Although his soul power was not as strong as the black-robed old man's, the divine sword art could still affect the old man to a certain extent. At the same time, Lu Ming appeared beside the old man. Under the old man's horrified gaze, Lu Ming punched the old man's head. The old man's head exploded like a watermelon. Swoosh! Lu Ming's claw pierced the black-robed old man's dantian, and he grabbed the old man's saint heart. The saint heart was as black as ink, like a diamond. It was sparkling, and it was filled with the laws of demonic Tao. The saint heart of a sage-to-be was a treasure. It could be used to refine pills or refine weapons. It was very expensive in the market, so Lu Ming kept it immediately. As for the black-robed old man, he could not be any more dead. A radiant saint expert was killed in a few moves by Lu Ming, his second body, and Bubble. Of course, this was because the three of them had a tacit understanding. If Lu Ming's main body was alone, his combat strength would not be much different from the old man's. It would be impossible for him to kill the old man. At most, he would have the upper hand. When the native Sage-to-Be realm experts saw this scene, they were terrified and retreated continuously. It was the same for the other three great success bright saints. They were going all out to deal with the other Sky Prides. When they saw this scene, they felt a chill run down their spines. After not seeing each other for half a year, Lu Ming had killed a Radiant Saint expert of the initial stage with a single punch. He could even kill a Radiant Saint expert of the great stage. This was too terrifying. Charge! Lu Ming did not continue to fight. He took the opportunity to rush out of the encirclement. Die for me. At this moment, a loud roar came from behind. A thin figure flew over at extreme speed. It was the Radiant Saint expert. This person was injured by the power of the laws in the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. During this period of time, he was hiding not far away to recuperate. When he heard the commotion, Lu Ming and the others had already rushed out of the encirclement. Everyone enter the mountain and river diagram. Lu Ming shouted and summoned the mountain and river diagram. He took everyone into the mountain and river diagram. Even if he joined forces with Bubble and his second body, they were not a match for a Radiant Saint expert. In the Saint realm, every step forward would increase one's combat strength by several times. The gap was huge. After taking the others into the mountain and river diagram, Bubble opened a spacetime channel. Lu Ming stepped into it directly. The next moment he appeared tens of thousands of miles away. After Bubble comprehended the spacetime laws, his various aspects had naturally improved rapidly. The spacetime channel's distance had also increased by several times. Chapter 1658. The Peak Bright Saint expert was dumbfounded when he saw that Lu Ming had disappeared. Then he let out a furious roar. When he found out that Lu Ming had killed a Bright Sage Initial Mastery and a Bright Sage Phenomenal Mastery powerhouse, he almost vomited blood. This time, they had failed to capture Lu Ming and the others. Half a year ago, not only had he been injured, but they had also lost two great experts this time. They had bitterly waited here for half a year, but in the end, they did not even leave behind a single strand of hair. One could imagine how depressed they were. Inform all clans to hunt down the other outsiders of the 100-tribe battlefield. In the future, kill anyone who sees an outsider. The Peak Bright Saint expert roared. His killing intent was extremely strong. After passing through several space-time passages, Lu Ming changed direction and flew toward the periphery of the 100-tribe battlefield. Lu Ming's current speed was extremely fast. He was like a ray of light flying across the sky. Half a day later, Lu Ming had already arrived at the periphery of the 100-tribe battlefield. Suddenly Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He heard a violent roar in front of him. It was the sound of a great battle. Lu Ming flew forward. Not long after, Lu Ming saw 4 young people being chased by a group of strange beasts. It's them. What a coincidence. Lu Ming's lips curled into an inexplicable smile. The 4 young people were Yin Shi, Yin Kai, and the other 2. After not seeing each other for more than a year, the cultivation of the 4 of them had also improved greatly. When Yin Shi had first entered the 100-tribe battlefield, her cultivation had already reached the peak of the 9th level of the martial royal realm. Now she had reached the 2nd stage of the half-saint realm, the same as Lu Ming. Yin Kai and the other 2 had also reached the 1st stage of the half-saint realm. But now, they were in extreme danger. They were being chased by a group of strange beasts. Yin Shi, Yin Kai, and the other 2 were very depressed. During this period, they had been moving around the periphery of the 100-tribe battlefield. They had been training in some of the outer cities, and their cultivation had steadily improved. But more than half a year ago, the natives of the 100-tribe battlefield had gone crazy. They had started to wantonly hunt and capture the foreign geniuses. They were lucky to have escaped the calamity and found a safe place to hide. They had been hiding for more than half a year. Recently, they had all made breakthroughs in their cultivation bases. They wanted to rush out of the 100-tribe battlefield and return to Cloud Emperor Mountain. However, not long after they came out, they were chased by a group of exotic beasts. The overall combat strength of this group of exotic beasts was twice as strong as theirs. They were no match for them at all. Charge, charge out! Yin Shi shouted loudly. Her long spear danced like a dragon and blocked the 3 strange beasts of the 2nd stage of the semi-sage realm. They wanted to rush out, but the exotic beasts held them tightly. Yin Kai, what are you doing? Suddenly, an angry roar sounded. It turned out that Yin Kai had suddenly attacked and sent Yin Kai flying with a single palm strike. Many strange beasts immediately pounced towards Yin Quebec. Yin Kai let out an angry roar, exploding with all his strength to resist. Yin Kai, you. Yin Shi was also furious. Exchanging his life for the lives of the 3 of us is worth it. Now let's charge. Yin Kai shouted, his eyes flashing with a cold light. Yin Kai risked his life to attract a group of exotic beasts. Naturally, there was an opening, and Yin Kai quickly rushed out from that opening. Ah, Yin Kai, you will die a horrible death. Yin Kai roared crazily. Poochie. His arm was torn off by a strange beast. Hold on. Yin Shi shouted, rushing towards Yin Kai with all her might. She swept away a strange beast and saved Yin Kai by a hair's breadth. Humph, how stupid. You didn't rush out with such a good opportunity. Then, all of you can go to hell. Yin Kai sneered in his heart. Don't let him escape. A strange beast spoke in human language. Suddenly, several powerful strange beasts chased after Yin Kai, including 2 second-stage semi-sage beasts. Yin Kai's expression changed. He used his movement technique to the extreme and flew at top speed. The next moment, his expression changed because he saw a person in front of him. This person was naturally Lu Ming. Lu Ming, it's you. You came at the right time. Come and help us resist the strange beasts. Yin Kai shouted coldly. A cold light flashed in his eyes, and he flew towards Lu Ming at top speed. Obviously, he wanted to drag Lu Ming into the water to help him resist the strange beasts so that he could escape. His intentions were sinister. Lu Ming had a faint smile on his face, and he did not move. Yin Kai's face revealed a ferocious expression, and he rushed towards Lu Ming at top speed. Get lost. Suddenly Lu Ming shouted. This voice contained the power of the divine sword art. Yin Kai screamed and his body stopped in the air. Lu Ming took a step forward, past Yin Kai, and appeared beside Yin Shi and the others. Kill. Lu Ming shouted again. The divine sword art blasted out with the power of the sound wave, bombarding the strange beasts. Plop. Plop. A large number of strange beasts fell directly, their vitality extinguished. Lu Ming's shout just now had destroyed the souls of those strange beasts, including several second-stage half-saint beasts, by Lu Ming. Yin Shi and the other 2 were dumbfounded. To them, the strange beasts that could take their lives were killed by Lu Ming's shout. This made them feel like they were dreaming. Then Lu Ming clenched his fist in the air, forming 3 true origin ribbons, entangling Yin Shi and the others, and retreating quickly. Those strange beasts looked at Lu Ming in horror, and did not dare to chase after him. Ah, save me, save me. At this time, Yin Kai screamed at the top of his lungs. Lu Ming's shout just now did not kill Yin Kai, and it did not even injure him. It only made him feel pain, and his body stopped. Now he was surrounded by those strange beasts. He was alone, so how could he be a match for those strange beasts? Suddenly, a few more wounds appeared on his body. Lu Ming, Yin Shi, and the others looked on coldly. The strange beasts that had surrounded Yin Shi and the others saw this scene, and immediately roared and rushed toward Yin Kai. Yin Kai was even more desperate and he screamed, Lu Ming, save me, save me. I am a disciple of Cloud Emperor Mountain. You can't leave me to die. Lu Ming shook his head. This Yin Kai, at this time, still wanted to use Cloud Emperor Mountain to threaten him. How stupid. Puff. One of Yin Kai's legs was torn off by a strange beast. He screamed miserably. Lu Ming, Yin Shi, I was wrong, save me, save me. But in the next moment, a strange beast in the second stage of the half-saint realm bit off his head directly. Yin Kai died unwillingly. Roar. Roar. Those strange beasts looked at Lu Ming seriously, and then ran away, not daring to make a move. Yin Kai, you deserve to die. Yin Kai said hatefully. Previously, Yin Kai had plotted against him in order to save his life, and they did not have the slightest sympathy for him. Indeed, you deserve to die. Chapter 1659. Next, Yin Kai and the other youth, Yin Feng, also expressed their gratitude to Lu Ming. When Lu Ming had wanted to come with them, they had looked down on Lu Ming. At that time, Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the peak of the 6th layer of the martial emperor realm. They had thought that Lu Ming wanted to borrow their strength to temper himself in the 100-tribe battlefield. But now, after more than a year, Lu Ming was unfathomable in their eyes. Moreover, Lu Ming had saved them time and time again. Otherwise, they would not have been able to walk out of the 100-tribe battlefield. No need to thank me. I saved you because I wanted to use your transportation array to return to Zhangzhou. Lu Ming said indifferently. The 100-tribe battlefield was extremely far away from Tsangzhou. Without a transportation array, it would take an unknown amount of time to fly there. Yinzhou was the closest province to Tsangzhou. If they wanted to return, they would first go to Yinzhou. Yinxi, Yinkei, and the others had awkward expressions on their faces. Let's go, Lu Ming said and flew out of the 100-tribe battlefield. Yinxi and the others hurriedly followed. At this point, they were not far from the 100-tribe battlefield. Soon, they flew out of the 100-tribe battlefield and appeared outside the 100-tribe battlefield. As soon as they flew out of the 100-tribe battlefield, Lu Ming immediately felt that the primal chaos law of heaven and earth had become clearer and more natural to control. After all, the laws in the 100-tribe battlefield were too chaotic. The saints outside the 100-tribe battlefield are probably stronger than the saints inside. A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. In the 100-tribe battlefield, the laws were chaotic. The saints would not be able to control the laws as they wished. In a battle of the same level, the saints outside would definitely be stronger. Lu Ming, let's go to the transportation array, Yinxi said. Wait a moment, Lu Ming said. Then, his forehead lit up and a large group of people suddenly appeared, giving Yinxi and the others a fright. Especially when they sensed the cultivation of this group of people, their expressions changed greatly. The cultivation of this group of people wasn't any weaker than theirs. In fact, they were all stronger than them. Some of their auras were as dense as mountains, unfathomable. All the geniuses were peerless geniuses. Yinxi and the others widened their eyes in shock. Lu Ming actually had such a huge force with him. What exactly had Lu Ming experienced in the 100-clan battlefield? These people were none other than Huangling, Yi Dongfang, and the others. The moment Huangling and the rest came out, they started looking around. The aura of laws here is not from the 100-race battlefield. Haha, we're out. They could sense that they were already out of the 100-tribe battlefield. They were overjoyed. They were finally out of danger. Although many people didn't return in this direction, as long as they left the 100-clan battlefield, it would be easy for them to return. It would only take them a bit more time. Then, everyone expressed their gratitude to Lu Ming. Yinxi and the others could only watch from the side, dumbfounded. Lu Ming, with your talent, you will definitely leave the Tsang state in the future. After all, the Tsang state is too small. If you leave the Tsang state in the future, you can come to the ancient moon sacred ground to find me. Huangling's beautiful eyes wandered as she came in front of Lu Ming. There was a trace of reluctance in her eyes, but she hid it very well. Ancient moon sacred ground? Lu Ming was puzzled. He had never heard of the ancient moon sacred ground. You haven't heard of it? Huangling asked. No, I came from outside the Yuanlu continent. I'm not very familiar with the Yuanlu continent. There aren't many records in the ancient books in the Tsang state. Lu Ming said. You came from the barren land? This time, not only Huangling, but the other geniuses were also surprised. Lu Ming was such a genius, but he actually came from the barren land. It was really beyond their expectations. The barren land? Lu Ming was even more puzzled. Why had he not heard of any of the places that Huangling and the others mentioned? Back then, the Valley Master of the Cloud Dragon Valley had given him a map. It was the territory of the dozens of large states near the Tsang state. Lu Ming, let me tell you the rough division of the entire world. Legend has it that there are a total of 9 heavens and 10 lands between the heavens and the earth. Legend has it that the 9 heavens are not the land of the Yuan realm, but the heaven realm. Legend has it that the heaven realm and the Yuan realm are twin worlds. The heaven realm is divided into 9 heavens, and the Yuan realm is divided into 10 lands. I'm not sure about the 9 heavens of the heaven realm. After all, it's too far away from us. The 10 lands of the Yuan continent are the barren land, the land of sin and chaos, the land of infinite demons, the land of infinite demons, the land of divine beasts, the land of 5 elements, the land of heavenly savages, the land of 9 serenities, the land of Yuan Mountain, and the land of divine fate. Among them, the barren land refers to the endless islands outside the Yuan continent. It's called the barren land when combined. Huangling explained in detail. Outside the Yuan continent, there's an endless ocean. The endless islands and continents are actually one of the 10 lands. The barren land? Lu Ming was a little dumbfounded. That's right. The place we're at is one of the 10 lands, the Yuan Mountain. The Yuan Mountain is vast and boundless. Its territory is so vast that it's difficult to calculate. There are countless forces of various sizes in the Yuan Mountain. There are many emperor-level forces and countless blessed grotto heavens. However, among all the blessed grotto heavens, there are 9 places that are the most famous. They're called the 9 Great Holy Lands. Each of the 9 Great Holy Lands is a holy land for cultivation. The environment is unique and far surpasses other places. The ancient Moon Holy Land is one of the 9 Great Holy Lands. There are many powerful forces entrenched in each of the Holy Lands. My Phoenix Palace is in the ancient Moon Holy Land. In fact, the location of the 100-tribe battlefield is within the range of the ancient Moon Holy Land. Therefore, the Sky Prides who come to the 100-tribe battlefield to train are mostly from the ancient Moon Holy Land. There are also some emperor-level forces in the nearby provinces. Huang Ling continued to explain. Lu Ming let out a long breath. His eyes were filled with shock. He finally had a clearer understanding of the Yuan Mountains territory. Vast, it was too vast. The Tsang province was already extremely vast. However, it was only one of the many provinces near the ancient Moon Holy Land. There were obviously even more powerful forces entrenched in the ancient Moon Holy Land. The Yuan Mountain had the 9 Great Holy Lands. How many provinces were there? How big was the territory? However, the Yuan Mountain was only one of the 10 lands in the Yuan Mountain. How many Sky Prides and powerhouses were there in such a vast territory? Perhaps no one knew that on this vast land, powerhouses would fall and powerhouses would be born every day. Sky Prides would rise and experience their own joys and sorrows. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with intense anticipation. The Tsang province was still too small. In the future, he would definitely leave the Tsang province and explore the outside world. Brother Lu, remember to look for me when you're at the ancient Moon Holy Land. We'll drink to our heart's content then. Yi Dongfang said forthrightly. The Thunder God sect was also in the ancient Moon Holy Land. Immediately, the other Sky Prides also sent invitations to Lu Ming. Chapter 1660. Miss Huang Ling, Brother Yi. Lu Ming has something on his mind that he would like to ask you. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and said, Brother Lu, feel free to speak. Yi Dongfang said, Everyone, have you heard of the phrase, the only one in the world? Lu Ming asked. Back then, when Lu Ming was still very weak, a person came to the divine wilderness and took away Autumn Moon, leaving only the words the only one in the world above the divine wilderness. Lu Ming understood that the word, above the divine wilderness, probably referred to a continent that was stronger than the divine wilderness mainland. If it was those small overseas continents like the divine wilderness mainland, it would be troublesome because there were too many of them, and it would be difficult to find. If it was a force in the Yuan continent, Huang Ling, Yi Dongfang, and the others came from powerful forces and were knowledgeable. Perhaps they would know, which was why Lu Ming asked. It had been more than 10 years since he parted with Autumn Moon. Lu Ming missed her very much and wondered how she was doing now. The only one in the world? Huang Ling, Yi Dongfang, and the others looked at each other and revealed a thoughtful look. Why? Miss Huang Ling, Brother Yi, you don't know? Lu Ming was slightly disappointed in his heart. The only one in the world who dares to be so arrogant in the world and use this title is most likely the One Divine Palace. Huang Ling frowned and said, I think so too. Other than the One Divine Palace, who dares to claim to be the only one in the world? Yi Dongfang said, Where is the One Divine Palace? Is it an emperor-level force? Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he quickly asked, Although the One Divine Palace is in the Yuan Mountain Land, it is not in the ancient Moon Holy Land but in another holy land. Moreover, the One Divine Palace is an extremely terrifying force and the experts of the One Divine Palace are very powerful. I heard that there are not many disciples in the One Divine Palace, but every one of them is known as the only one in the world. For example, a disciple of the One Divine Palace who cultivates the law of fire is unique in the law of fire. He is incomparably powerful and can suppress other prodigies who cultivate the law of fire. A prodigy who cultivates other laws and can suppress other laws is known as the only one in the world. Huang Ling explained. Every one of them is unique in the world. Lu Ming found it hard to believe. The Yuan continent was vast, and there were as many experts as there were clouds. Although there were millions of laws, there were even more people who cultivated them. There were probably many people who cultivated every kind of law, especially common laws like the law of fire and the law of water. There were even more people who cultivated them. Who could say that they were the only one in the world? The Soul Temple's tone was too arrogant. The title of the Soul Holy Temple is too much. There are so many geniuses in the world. How could they dare to call themselves the number one and only? But I have to say that the people from the Soul Holy Temple are indeed terrifying. Huang Ling said. That's right. I've heard that there are some experts in the Soul Holy Palace who travel the world all year round to find people with exceptional talent and bring them back to the Soul Holy Palace to cultivate and nurture them. Yi Dongfang added. Yi Dongfang's words made Lu Ming's eyes light up. The Soul Holy Palace had experts who traveled the world to find people with exceptional talent and bring them back to the Soul Holy Palace to cultivate. It was very likely that someone had walked to the Divine Wilderness continent and discovered the autumn moon. Lu Ming found some clues. No matter what, he had to make a trip to the Soul Holy Palace in the future. Thank you for answering Lu Ming's questions. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, Brother Lu, you're too courteous. I'll take my leave first. The matter of the 100-clan battlefield must be reported to the sect as soon as possible to prevent more geniuses from entering, Yi Dongfang said. After that, the others also bid farewell to Lu Ming. In the end, Huang Ling and the people of the Phoenix Palace also bid farewell and left. Only Lu Ming, Yunxi, and a few others were left. Let's go, Lu Ming said. Yunxi and the others nodded subconsciously. Unknowingly, Lu Ming had established a strong prestige in their hearts. This place was very close to the teleportation array of the Cloud Emperor Mountain. Soon, they arrived at the teleportation array and stepped into it to return to the Cloud Emperor Mountain. After returning to the Cloud Emperor Mountain, the old man who had gone to pick up Lu Ming and the Cloud Dragon Valley Master found Lu Ming and told him a piece of news. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master had asked him to pass a message to Lu Ming. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master had something to do during this period. If Lu Ming returned from the 100-clan battlefield, he could return to the Zhangzhou alone. Thank you, Senior. Lu Ming cupped his fists at the old man. The old man nodded and led Lu Ming out of the Cloud Emperor Mountain. Then Lu Ming took out his flying shuttle and flew in the direction of the Zhangzhou. The Cloud Emperor Mountain was very far from the Zhangzhou, especially from the Divine Dragon Valley. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master had taken 2 days to rush there. With the speed of Lu Ming's flying shuttle, it would take him a month to rush back to the Divine Dragon Valley. However, since there were still 4 months before the treasure sorting assembly, Lu Ming was not in a hurry. He could take his time to get back. While he was on the road, he could use this time to cultivate. The higher one's cultivation, the more numb one would be to time. A martial emperor could live for 10 to 20,000 years. A sage could live for more than 100,000 years. Some people would cultivate in seclusion for a few years, or even a few decades. It might take a few hundred years or even 1,000 years to break through to the next level. A month's time really wasn't much. Sitting cross-legged in the flying shuttle, Lu Ming took out a few storage rings. These storage rings were obtained by Lu Ming after killing a few Sage Realm experts in the 100-clan battlefield. Lu Ming had not checked and counted them before. Now was the time to do so. Not long after he finished counting. Even with Lu Ming's temperament, he was dumbfounded. I'm rich. I'm really rich. There were too many treasures and origin stones. There were more than 100 sacred weapons. A total of 150 sacred weapons. What a huge number. On second thought, Lu Ming understood. This time, the local sages had killed many of the geniuses from the major factions who had entered. Almost all of these geniuses had sacred weapons. Naturally, the sages had collected a lot of them. There were also origin stones piled up like a mountain. Anyway, it was enough for Lu Ming to use for a period of time. I'm cultivating the 10,000 weapon art, and need a lot of sacred weapons. Now that I'm not short of them, I can cultivate the 10,000 weapon art while I'm on the road. Lu Ming thought. Previously, Lu Ming had focused on comprehending the law of primal chaos and put everything else aside. He had not cultivated the 10,000 weapon art. When Lu Ming was a 9th-level martial emperor, he could seal 12 sacred weapons. Now that he had broken through to the second stage of the half-saint realm and comprehended the law of primal chaos, he had refined a wisp of true primal chaos chi in his body. How many sacred weapons could he seal in his body now? Lu Ming was looking forward to it. Immediately, Lu Ming began to cultivate. He activated the 10,000 weapon art and began to seal the sacred weapons in his acupoints. He completed the 13th sacred weapon easily without feeling anything. Then the 14th, the 15th. Chapter 1661. For half a month, Lu Ming constantly cultivated the 10,000 weapon art. The further he progressed, the slower the speed of sealing the sacred weapons. This was because the more sacred weapons there were, the more powerful the combat weapon aura would be and the greater the burden on his body would be. Lu Ming had to be careful and take things one step at a time. In the end, Lu Ming successfully sealed 36 holy weapons. At this point, Lu Ming felt that he had reached his limit and stopped. When Wan Tiancheng was in the second stage of the half-saint realm, he had only sealed 14 holy weapons. The difference between him and Lu Ming was too great. When the battle weapon chi of 36 holy weapons fused, their power reached a terrifying level. After cultivating the 10,000 weapon art, he began to comprehend the law of primal chaos and the primal chaos flipping sky seal. Now the primal chaos flipping sky seal had reached the peak of the 5th stage. It was not far from the 6th stage, the perfect stage. Time flew by, and a few more days passed. The space-piercing flying shuttle flew high in the sky. Swoosh. Suddenly, a bright sword light flashed below, attracting Lu Ming's attention. Lu Ming walked to the crystal glass and looked out. Suddenly he raised his eyebrows. He saw a familiar face. Sule. When he was cultivating on the floating platform in Dragon God Valley, he made a bet with Silver Dragon Valley's Silver City. Later, Silver City reneged on the bet and made false accusations. At that time, no one dared to testify for Lu Ming. In the end, it was a timid little girl who testified for Lu Ming. That little girl was Sule. Lu Ming had a deep impression of her. At this time, Sule was being chased. Together with Sule was a young girl. The two of them were fleeing in panic. Behind them, more than a dozen burly men were chasing. Lu Ming stepped out of the space-piercing flying shuttle. With a wave of his hand, he put away the space-piercing flying shuttle and flew toward Sule. Sule, you can't escape today. You'd better follow us back to the Su family obediently to avoid physical pain. Behind Sule, a burly man said with a gloomy face. Sule gritted her teeth and flew forward without saying a word. Don't even think about it. You bunch of despicable people. Miss will definitely not go back with you. The young girl beside Sule said loudly. Little girl, how dare you? What do you know? You are going back for the sake of the Su family. It is your honor to contribute to the family. The burly man roared. Their speed became faster and faster, and they quickly approached Sule and her companion. Sule and the young woman's faces became paler and paler. Junior sister Sule, how have you been? At this moment, a clear voice rang out. Sule was stunned. Then, she saw a young figure in a black robe descending from the sky, his long hair fluttering in the wind. Senior brother Lu Ming. Sule blurted out in surprise. She didn't expect to run into Lu Ming here. Then Sule's expression changed as she cried out, Senior brother Lu Ming, leave quickly. But before she could finish her words, Lu Ming's figure flashed, and he suddenly appeared between Sule and those burly men. Those burly men directly rushed towards Lu Ming. The leader shouted, Kid, get lost. Then he reached out a big hand and grabbed Lu Ming. Lu Ming smiled faintly. With a wave of his hand, a wall of ethereal force formed in front of him. Bang! The burly man grabbed the ethereal force wall. It was like an ordinary person's hand grabbing onto a steel plate with all his strength, but the force was stronger. With a crack, the burly man's finger broke. Moreover, because they were rushing forward too quickly, they all crashed into the ethereal force wall. Bang! 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 The scene was spectacular. More than a dozen burly men were flying at high speed, but they suddenly crashed into the ethereal force wall. Each of them was dizzy from the impact, and they staggered left and right, bleeding from their mouths and noses. Some of them even had their noses broken. Su Lei and the young woman were dumbfounded. After a long while, the burly men finally reacted. The leader shouted, "Kid, this is an internal matter of the Su family. It has nothing to do with you. Get lost quickly." Although he was shouting, his eyes were filled with seriousness. Although the dozen of them did not attack the wall of quintessential essence that Lu Ming condensed just now, they were surrounded by their quintessential essence and domain. When they collided with it, the wall of quintessential essence did not budge at all. On the contrary, they were badly battered and battered. "Are you from the same family as junior sister Su Lei?" Lu Ming looked at Su Lei. Su Lei blushed and nodded slightly. "Kid, did you see that? This is a private matter of the Su family. Get lost quickly. We're taking Su Lei back to the Su family." The leader yelled. No, I don't want to go back to the Su family." Su Lei shook her head continuously. "Today you have to go back even if you don't want to. Brothers, let's attack together." The leader yelled. "Get lost." Lu Ming's eyes flickered coldly as he took a step forward. Bang! The sky rumbled as a terrifying force charged towards the dozen or so burly men. Among the burly men, the strongest was only an 8th-layer martial dominator. They were like ants in front of Lu Ming, unable to withstand a single blow. Bang! Bang! The burly men were sent flying while spitting out mouthfuls of blood. They stared at Lu Ming in astonishment. This young man is so powerful. "Su Lei, so what if you have help? Don't forget that your mother is still in the Su family. If you don't go back, your mother will die because of you," the leader said in a ferocious tone. Su Lei's face instantly turned pale as her eyes were filled with tears, as if she was about to burst out crying. Don't hurt my mother." "Humph, you better think about it carefully. Let's go." The leader harumphed and turned around to leave. "Did I say you can leave?" Lu Ming said in a cold tone. The burly men's faces turned pale as they wore terrified expressions. "Senior brother Lu Ming, let them go. Otherwise my mother," Su Lei said from the side. The burly men immediately flew forward and disappeared. Lu Ming did not chase after them. "Junior sister Su Lei, what's going on? Are they from the same family as you?" Lu Ming asked. Su Lei pondered for a while and said, "Senior brother Lu Ming, it's nothing. I'll deal with this matter myself. You should leave." "Junior sister Su Lei, you're afraid of involving me?" Lu Ming asked directly. This timid girl was very kind-hearted and not scheming. Lu Ming saw through her thoughts at a glance. Su Lei twisted her hands together and did not speak for a while. "Miss, what's there to hide? Those people are despicable and shameless. They want to sacrifice you for their own sake. What kind of people are they?" "Bah," the young girl on the side said in a bad mood. This girl was Su Lei's maidservant. Her name was Su Cha. Her personality was the opposite of Su Lei's. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a trace of sharpness and said, "Miss, tell me what's going on." "Well, Miss is kind. Let me tell you, it's like this." Chapter 1662. Nearby, there was a big city called Gusa City. There were 4 major families in Gusa City. The Su family that Su Lei came from was one of the 4 major families. In fact, the 4 major families used to be the same family a long time ago. However, something happened and the 4 major families split up. The few families that split up changed their surnames and formed the 4 major families of today. The 4 major families had a common ancestral land. Every once in a while, the 4 major families would send out young experts to compete with each other. The family that won would be able to send people into the ancestral land to obtain opportunities. Moreover, they could even ask for external help. No matter which family it was, as long as they invited the younger generation, they could represent their family and participate in the competition. After all, relationships and connections sometimes represented strength. Now it was time for the 4 major families to compete for the spots to enter the ancestral land. This time, the Su family had invited a few supreme talents from the celestial god sect to participate in the competition. With the supreme talents from the celestial god sect participating, the Su family would definitely win. However, the supreme talents from the celestial god sect had a request. This was because one of the supreme talents from the celestial god sect had been poisoned by the fire lotus. Su Lei had the mystical dragon body. The supreme talents from the celestial god sect wanted Su Lei to have intercourse with the person who had been poisoned by the fire lotus. This way, the mystical dragon body would neutralize the fire lotus poison. When Su Lei found out about this, she ran out. That was why more than 10 burly men from the Su family chased after her. However, they did not expect the other party to be so despicable as to use Su Lei's mother to threaten them. I see. The sharpness in Lu Ming's eyes became even colder. Where there were people, there would be conflicts. Cultivators would constantly compete for benefits. This kind of thing happened every day in the vast Yuanlu. Without strength, one could not even decide one's own fate. Lu Ming could not and would not care about other people's affairs. However, since he had encountered this matter, and it was Su Lei who had helped him before, he had to take care of it. Junior sister Su Lei, let's go. I will accompany you back to the Su family. Lu Ming said. Su Lei shook her head and said, Senior brother Lu Ming, this is my matter. I cannot implicate you. I will go back and save my mother. Will you go back by yourself and agree to their conditions? Lu Ming said. Su Lei fell silent. Tears welled up in her eyes again. She looked lonely and helpless. With her cultivation, what could she do even if she went back? Only by agreeing to the other party's conditions could she save her mother. Let's go. I will go back to Su family with you. Su Cha, you lead the way. Lu Ming was very direct. He pulled Su Lei's small hand and stepped into the air. All right. Su Cha nodded his head and flew forward. Now she could only give it a try. Lu Ming addressed Su Lei as junior sister. He should be a disciple of the Dragon God Valley, right? Perhaps Lu Ming was very strong. Senior brother Lu Ming, the Su clan has a saint. Su Lei blushed as Lu Ming held her hand. However, she was still worried. Although she knew that Lu Ming was very strong and had been for a few years, compared to those half-saints or even saints, Lu Ming was definitely no match for them. Haha, so what if they are saints? I can still slap them to death. Junior sister Su Lei, you helped me in the past. I haven't returned this favor yet. If I miss this opportunity, how can I return the favor in the future? Do you want me to repay you with my body? Ha ha ha. Lu Ming laughed, but Su Lei's face was red. However, after Lu Ming's joke, Su Lei's mood was much better. She let Lu Ming pull her and flew towards Gusu City. Gusu City was very big. In the Tsang Prefecture, it was also a famous city. There were 4 major clans in the city. Each of them had a saint. In the nearby area, they could be said to be very powerful. Moreover, the 4 major clans and the top forces in the Tsang Prefecture were intertwined. Every time a genius was born, they would be sent to the 13 top forces to cultivate. Just like Su Lei, she was sent to the Dragon God Valley to cultivate. She only returned to the Su family when the competition between the 4 clans was about to come. Unexpectedly, this scene happened. Soon they arrived at Gusu City. The 3 of them directly came to a huge palace. This was the Su family. Su Lei is back. When the few burly men guarding the door saw Su Lei, their eyes lit up. A few of them flashed and blocked the 3 of them, as if they were afraid that they would escape. One of them dashed into the palace to report the matter. Let's go. Lu Ming let go of Su Lei's small hand and took the lead, walking into the Su family. Su Lei and Su Cha followed. After walking through the door, and through a long corridor, they arrived at a large courtyard. When they just stepped into the courtyard, there were continuous sounds of people flying in the air. In the Su family's palace, there were constantly figures flashing and landing in the courtyard, surrounding them. Su Lei and Su Cha's small faces couldn't help but turn pale. Lu Ming had his hands behind his back. His face was calm and composed. Su Lei, I knew that you would come back. A sharp voice could be heard. Following this, a few figures came into the courtyard. The one at the front was a middle-aged man in a blue robe. He stood with his hands behind his back, emitting a dignified aura. Beside the middle-aged man stood a young woman who was quite pretty. At this moment, She was sneering and looking at Sule proudly. The voice just now was from her. That's the patriarch of the Su family. That woman is the daughter of the patriarch of the Su family, Su Qin. She's the one who brought the geniuses of the heavenly god sect here. Su Cha transmitted his voice to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded. His eyes flickered as he sized up the patriarch of the Su family. Third stage of the half-saint realm, jar of the laws? Lu Ming smiled faintly. He could tell at a glance that the patriarch of the Su family's cultivation was at the third stage of the half-saint realm. However, the patriarch of the Su family was at most an inferior earthly spiritual body. Even if he was at the third stage of the laws, it was still not worth mentioning in Lu Ming's eyes. As for Su Qin, her cultivation was even worse. She was only at the sixth-layer martial dominator realm. The patriarch of the Su family's gaze landed on Lu Ming's figure and frowned slightly, the reason being that he could not tell Lu Ming's cultivation. However, he soon relaxed his frown. Lu Ming must have practiced some kind of concealment technique. Since he was with Sule, it was unlikely that his cultivation was outstanding, thus there was no need to worry. Patriarch, where's my mother? Let her go at once. This has nothing to do with her. Since they were already here, Sule decided to go all out. She stepped forward and faced the patriarch of the Su family. Sule, what's the rush? Once you've cured Zheng Fei's poison, your mother will be released. The daughter of the patriarch of the Su family, Su Qin, said with a hollow laugh. No, I want to see my mother first. Sule clenched her teeth and said. Sule, you're not qualified to talk about conditions now. Besides, it's your honor to be able to have sex with the geniuses of the heavenly god sect. Maybe he'll take a fancy to you and give you a status. By then, you'll have a meteoric rise. Su Qin said. No, I want to see my mother. Chapter 1663. How dare you? Su Qin's expression changed as she screamed. The Su family head's expression also changed. He did not expect Sule to be so unyielding. Lu Ming's expression did not change. He was very close to Sule. If Sule really wanted to commit suicide, he had dozens of ways to save her. Therefore, he did not need to be in a hurry. He had to see Sule's mother first. Why wouldn't I dare? If anything happens to my mother, you can only get my corpse, Sule said unyieldingly with determination in her eyes. Go and bring her mother here. At this moment, the Su family had ordered. If Sule died, she would be useless. By then, the elites of the heavenly divine sect might leave in anger. They had to be careful. Yes. Someone went to the back of the palace. Soon, someone brought a middle-aged woman to the place. Why did you come back? Leave me. The middle-aged woman shouted when she saw Sule. Shut up. Su Qin scolded. Let my mother come here. Sule shouted. The Su family had waved his hand, and that person let go of Sule's mother. Anyway, this was the Su family. Lu Ming and the rest were surrounded by the Su family's experts. They could not escape. The middle-aged woman ran over and hugged Sule. Mother, are you okay? Sule kept her dagger and looked at the middle-aged woman. Why did you come back? You ran out. As long as you return to the Dragon God Valley, they can't do anything to you, the middle-aged woman said with a sad face. Mother, can't leave you behind, Sule said. The middle-aged woman's tears kept flowing. Suddenly, she ran to the Su family head and knelt down. She begged. Family head, please let Layer go. Is a direct descendant of the Su family. Please let her go. Sule's family was originally the direct descendant of the Su family. They had a high status. However, after Sule's father and grandfather died in battle, their status plummeted. Get up. You said it yourself. Sule is a direct descendant of the Su family. I asked her to do this for the Su family. Since she's a direct descendant of the Su family, what's a little sacrifice for the family? Moreover, I'm not trying to kill her. I'm giving her a chance. After all, she's a genius of the heavenly god sect. The Su family's patriarch said coldly. But, this way, if the other party doesn't want Layer will be ruined. Patriarch, I beg you please let Layer go. Sule's mother continued to plead for mercy. Today, it's useless for you to beg anyone. At this moment, a cold voice sounded. Then 3 figures stepped into the courtyard. The 3 youths were dressed in white robes. With one look, one could tell that they were disciples of the heavenly god sect. One of them had a red face, as if there was a raging fire burning in his body. This person should be Zheng Fei, who was poisoned by the fire lotus. The 3 of them took large strides forward. Zheng Fei's eyes were fixed on Su Lei as he shouted, "All of you hurry up and take down this girl. Let her help me neutralize the fire poison. Hurry up." Being poisoned by the fire poison, Zheng Fei felt as if he was being burned by fire. The pain was unbearable. Zheng Fei couldn't wait to have sex with Su Lei immediately. "That's right. You're delaying such a small matter. If anything happens to my junior brother, don't expect us to help your Su family. When the time comes, we'll go to the other 3 families. Let's see how your Su family will get first place." Another genius of the heavenly god sect said coldly. The Su family's patriarch and Su Qin's face changed drastically. If the genius of the heavenly god sect went to help the other 3 families in anger, then their Su family would have no chance. "Su Lei, you bitch. Hurry up and take senior brother Zheng Fei down to serve him. If you delay the important matter, not only you but all of you will die." Su Qin screamed. Su Qin joined the heavenly god sect. However, she was just a small figure in the heavenly god sect. It wasn't easy for her to invite a few geniuses to help the Su family. She didn't want Su Lei to ruin it. "Su Qin, don't think that we don't know what you're thinking. You're selfish. When the Su family gets first place and enters the ancestral land, you'll definitely go. In order to enter the ancestral land, you're going to sacrifice Mississippi. You're really vicious." Su Cha couldn't bear it anymore and shouted, "How dare you talk to me like that? You're just a lowly maid. Slap her." Su Qin's face was cold. She moved and rushed toward Su Cha. She wanted to slap him. Su Qin's cultivation was at the 6th layer of the martial royal realm. Although Su Cha had some cultivation, he was only at the 2nd layer of the martial royal realm. There was no way he could dodge it. "Stop." Just as Lu Ming was about to make a move, Su Lei rushed out and hit Su Qin's palm. Su Qin was forced to retreat. Su Lei's cultivation was similar to Su Qin's. However, Su Lei's spiritual body was much stronger than Su Qin's. It was a mid-level spiritual body. Her combat strength was far above Su Qin's. "Su Lei, how dare you stop me? Let me tell you, you have no choice today. All of this is for the Su family." Su Qin screamed. "No choice? How can that be?" At this time Lu Ming, who had been silent all this time, finally spoke. The others couldn't help but look at Lu Ming. "Kid, what do you mean?" Su Qin looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming smiled. Suddenly, a long spear condensed in his hand. Whoosh! Lu Ming swung his hand. The long spear shot toward Zheng Fei like lightning. This scene was too sudden. No one expected that Lu Ming would suddenly kill Zheng Fei. Puff! The long spear directly pierced through Zheng Fei's dantian. It destroyed Zheng Fei's spiritual spirit and nailed him to the ground. Zheng Fei's eyes were wide open. They were full of disbelief. Never in his wildest dreams did he expect that Lu Ming would suddenly attack him. Then the light in Zheng Fei's eyes dimmed. There was no sign of life. The whole place was silent. Everyone was dumbfounded. They thought they were dreaming. Su Qin raised her trembling hand and pointed at Lu Ming. She was speechless for a while. Previously, Lu Ming had been standing there without saying a word. Su Qin almost forgot about Lu Ming. She never thought that Lu Ming would suddenly attack and kill Zheng Fei. Now there's no need to choose. He's already a dead man. Lu Ming calmly said, how dare you kill senior brother Zheng Fei? You're courting death. You're courting death. Su Qin screamed hysterically. With Zheng Fei's death, her plan was in vain. Kid, you're courting death, kill. The remaining 2 disciples of the heavenly god sect became enraged. Their figures emitted the auras of the 9th layer martial dominator realm. A sacred glow was emitted as the 2 geniuses of the heavenly god sect charged toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming swung his hand, summoning 2 long spears, which pierced toward the 2 geniuses of the heavenly god sect. The attacks and defenses of the two geniuses of the celestial god sect were unable to withstand a single blow from Lu Ming's long spear. Puff! Puff! The two spears pierced into their dantian, destroying their spiritual divinities. Just like Zheng Fei, they were nailed to the ground. A one-hit kill. Chapter 1664. How dare you kill a genius of the Heavenly God Sect? The Heavenly God Sect will not let you off. The Su family head roared. His aura of a stage 3 sage to be pressed down on Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming stood there calmly. Even his clothes did not flutter. Damn it! How dare you kill a senior brother of the Heavenly God Sect? Su Qin also roared crazily. Her plan, which she had painstakingly planned, was completely ruined. Don't forget that a genius of the Heavenly God Sect died in the Su family. If the people of the Heavenly God Sect know about this, who knows what they will think? Lu Ming said calmly. Su Qin, the Su family head, and the other members of the Su family were aghast. That's right. A genius of the Heavenly God Sect died in the Su family. If the Heavenly God Sect knew about this, the Su family would be implicated. If the Heavenly God Sect was angry, the Su family would definitely be destroyed. Damn it! The Su family head Su Qin and the others were so angry that they almost vomited blood. Not only could they not tell anyone about this, but they also had to keep it a secret and help Lu Ming hide it. You will pay for this with your lives. All of you will die. Su Qin screamed, somewhat hysterical. She had paid a huge price to get the help of 3 geniuses of the Heavenly God Sect. Her goal was to win the Su family so that she could enter the ancestral land and obtain the opportunity. But now, all of his plans were ruined by Lu Ming. She hated it. She hated Su Lei for not agreeing obediently. She hated Lu Ming for interfering. Kill. Kill them all. Su Qin yelled and gave the order. Kill. Kill. The experts of the Su family around the courtyard pounced on Lu Ming, Su Lei, and the others. These experts of the Su family were all high-level martial emperors. Some of them were even sage-to-be existences. Get lost. Lu Ming's eyes shone with a sharp light as he shouted. With this shout, Lu Ming not only used the divine sword art, but the sound wave also contained a terrifying amount of true essence. Those Su family experts who were charging towards Lu Ming, and the others screamed one after another. Then their bodies seemed to have been hit by a sledgehammer. They retreated at a speed faster than they had pounced, and blood gushed out of their mouths. How could this be? Su Qin and the others who had yet to make a move widened their eyes in disbelief. Lu Ming was too terrifying. With just a shout, dozens of Su clan experts, including a few half-saints, all vomited blood and retreated. What kind of cultivation was this? What kind of combat power? Su Lei, Su Cha, and Su Lei's mother were also stunned. Senior brother Lu Ming has become stronger again. Su Lei whispered. A year and a half ago, although Lu Ming's cultivation was strong, it was not so exaggerated. But now it was unfathomable. Whoosh! Lu Ming's gaze was like lightning. He looked at Su Qin and clenched his fist. Su Qin screamed, and her body flew toward Lu Ming involuntarily. Lu Ming grabbed her by the neck and lifted her in the air. Father, father, save me! Su Qin screamed in horror. Let go of her! The Su family's patriarch roared and unleashed his full cultivation. The law of wind gathered and shrouded Lu Ming. Have you thought it through? Do you really want to fight with me? Lu Ming looked at the Su family's patriarch. Boom! Then, a terrifying aura erupted from Lu Ming's body. The terrifying law of chaos spread out and pressed towards the Su family's patriarch. The Su family's patriarch trembled as if he had been struck by lightning. He could not help but retreat and almost vomit blood. The gap between them was too big. In the Su family's patriarch's eyes, Lu Ming was like an undefeatable ancient beast. The Su family's patriarch was shocked. His mind was spinning rapidly. Suddenly, the Su family's patriarch withdrew his aura and cupped his fists at Lu Ming, saying, "This young master is truly a peerless genius. This Su had eyes but failed to see. Please forgive me." Even Lu Ming was taken aback by this action. The Su family's patriarch was indeed worthy of being the patriarch of a family. He knew the principle of judging the situation. Today's matter will be treated as if it never happened. These 3 people from the Heavenly Divinity sect have never appeared in the Su family. Su Lei's position in the Su family will be the same as Qin, Er's in the future. The Su family's patriarch continued to speak, trying his best to ease the relationship between Lu Ming and Su Lei. You sure change your attitude fast. Scram. Lu Ming's palm slapped Su Qin's face, sending her flying. Ah, you dare to hit me. Father, kill them, kill them. Su Qin screamed hysterically. Shut up. The Su family's patriarch scolded, shutting Su Qin's mouth. Lu Ming smiled faintly. If they were outside, he would have slapped Su Qin to death. However, this was Su Lei's family after all. She still had family members in the Su family. He couldn't go too far. He just needed to establish his authority. Young master, how should I address you? The Su family's patriarch smiled and cupped his fists politely. Lu Ming looked at the Su family's patriarch and said faintly, Lu Ming. Oh, it's Brother Lu. Wait. You're Lu Ming? Lu Ming of the Dragon God Valley? The Su family's patriarch exclaimed in shock. The battle between Lu Ming and the Divine Prince 3 years ago had already spread across the Tsang state. Some of the bigger forces had heard of Lu Ming's name. Su Qin and the other experts of the Su family also widened their eyes in shock. It turned out that this person was Lu Ming. Was Lu Ming already so powerful? If the Dragon God Valley doesn't have a second Lu Ming, then it's me, Lu Ming said faintly. Oh, it's Brother Lu Ming. I'm really blind. The real dragon is right in front of me, but I didn't recognize it. Brother Lu Ming, I have a presumptuous request. The Su family's patriarch smiled and called Lu Ming brother. It was impossible to tell that he was at loggerheads with Lu Ming just a moment ago. What's the matter? Lu Ming said. I would like to invite Brother Lu Ming to represent the Su family and participate in the competition between the 4 families. As long as Brother Lu Ming agrees, you can raise any conditions. The Su family's patriarch said. Lu Ming was stunned. He didn't expect that the Su family's patriarch would invite him to fight for the Su family. This was somewhat out of Lu Ming's expectation. Su Qin's eyes also lit up. If Lu Ming were to fight, the Su family would win for sure. It's not impossible for me to fight, but I have 2 conditions. Lu Ming said. Brother Lu Ming, feel free to say it. The Su family's patriarch was overjoyed and quickly said. First, I don't want to hear anyone humiliating Su Lei and her family in the Su family in the future. Lu Ming said. Don't worry about this. In the future, if anyone dares to humiliate Su Lei and her family in the Su family, I won't let them off easily, no matter who it is. The Su family's patriarch agreed without hesitation. Second, I will help the Su family get first place. The person who enters the ancestral land must be Su Lei. Lu Ming said. Impossible, this is impossible. Su Qin shouted. If Su Lei entered the ancestral land, it would have nothing to do with her. Naturally, she wouldn't agree. Chapter 1665. The Su family head's expression changed, and he did not answer for a while. What's wrong? Is this condition hard to agree to? Lu Ming said indifferently. Brother Lu Ming, can you change the condition? The Su family head said. No need to change it, I agree. At this moment, an old voice sounded, and in the depths of the Su family hall, an old man with snow-white hair stepped on the air. Saint. Lu Ming's eyes moved. This old man was a saint, but he was only at the initial success of the Bright Saint realm. Old ancestor. Seeing this old man, the Su family head quickly bowed. Greetings, old ancestor. Su Qin, the rest of the Su family, including Su Lei, Su Cha, and Su Lei's mother, all bowed respectfully. This old man was the pillar of the Su family, the only saint in the Su family. I agree to Brother Lu Ming's condition just now. After the Su family wins, let Su Lei enter the ancestral land. She is also a direct descendant of the Su family. If she can obtain the opportunity of the ancestral land, it will be the Su family's fortune. The Su family Saint Realm old ancestor said. Yes, old ancestor. The Su family head quickly nodded, not daring to disobey. Su Qin was extremely unwilling, but since the Su family old ancestor had spoken, She did not dare to say a word. She could only secretly grit her teeth. Also, don't take advantage of this old man's closed-door cultivation to do whatever you want. You are the Su family's patriarch. You should think for the entire Su family, not for your children. If that's the case, you don't need to be the patriarch anymore. The Su family old ancestor continued. The Su family head broke out in cold sweat, and bowed in fear and trepidation, saying, "Old ancestor, please forgive me. I will not dare to do it again." In the world of martial arts, everything was based on strength. In the Su family, a saint was the sky, and he could decide the family head's position with a single word. In front of the Su family old ancestor, the Su family head did not even dare to fart. This girl is very talented. Focus on training her in the future. She can reach the saint realm, understand? The patriarch of the Su family looked at Su Lei and let out a kind smile. Then, when he looked at the patriarch of the Su family, a sharp light flashed across his eyes. He was in seclusion all year round. Sometimes he would be in seclusion for dozens of years. Therefore, he rarely asked about the Su family's matters. If he had not been alarmed by Lu Ming's aura and ended his seclusion, he would have almost lost a prodigy like Su Lei. With Su Lei's talent, there was hope for her to become a saint. It was extremely difficult for a family to give birth to such a genius, but the Su family's patriarch wanted to sacrifice Su Lei in exchange for an opportunity for his daughter. Su family's old ancestor's heart flashed with anger. He secretly planned. It seemed like he had to properly reorganize the Su family in the future. Little brother Lu Ming, please. This old man will order a banquet to thank little brother Lu Ming for taking action and protecting a prodigy for my Su clan. The Su family's old ancestor looked at Lu Ming and said politely, "You're welcome, please." Lu Ming smiled faintly, and then stepped into the depths of the Su family with Su Lei and the others. As for the heavenly god sex prodigies, there would naturally be someone to deal with them. Moreover, the order was given that if anyone leaked out the news, they would be killed without mercy. After the banquet, Lu Ming temporarily stayed in the Su family. The competition between the four families would begin in 7 days. Since there was still some time before the Treasure of the Year assembly, Lu Ming was not in a hurry. He could also help the kind-hearted Su Lei while he was at it. 7 days passed in the blink of an eye. The competition between the four families of Gusu City had officially begun. The location was at the center of Gusu City, on a huge square. In the middle of the square, a huge battle stage had already been built. On this day, the square was surrounded by a sea of people. The competition between the four families of Gusu City was a rare event in Gusu City. Naturally, Gusu City's martial artists would flock over. Spectator stands were built in the four directions of the square. Lu Ming and the Su family's people landed on the eastern spectator stand. Subsequently, the other three families' people landed on the other three spectator stands. Not long after, the competition officially began. The rules of the competition were very simple. Each family would send 6 young experts to the battle stage and participate in the team battle. In the end, the family that still had people on the battle stage would be the winner. On the Su family's side, including Lu Ming, they also chose 6 young people. Su Lei was also one of them. Other than Lu Ming, the strongest among them was only a 7th-layer martial royal realm cultivator. In the previous competitions, the Su family would invite some external help. However, this time, with Lu Ming, the Su family naturally did not need to invite external help. Whoosh! 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 From all directions, figures rushed onto the battle stage one after another. There were exactly 6 people in each direction. As soon as the others jumped onto the battle stage, they began to size each other up. After that, there would be a chaotic battle. Naturally, they would have to observe their opponents well to know how to fight. Haha, Su Qi, your Su family actually did not have any external help this time? No, there is only one external help. Could it be that you have already given up on this competition? A loud laugh could be heard. In the south, a middle-aged man looked at the Su family's patriarch with a cold smile. Apart from that one person, the strongest among the rest is only a 7th-layer martial royal realm cultivator. It seems like the Su family has really given up. Let's eliminate the Su family first, and the three of us will fight it out." A voice could be heard in the west. The people who spoke were the patriarchs of the other three families. Like the Su family's patriarch, they were all in the third layer of the half-saint realm with the cultivation of the jar of the rules. They could clearly see the cultivation of Su Lei, and the others with their spiritual consciousness. The only exception was Lu Ming. Lu Ming had used his illusionary aura, so they could not see through Lu Ming's cultivation. However, they did not care too much about it. They did not believe that Lu Ming's cultivation was strong. "Wait a minute, you'll be crying." The Su family's patriarch sneered, but did not say anything. It was useless to say anything now. They would soon know how powerful the Su family was. "The patriarch has spoken. Let's eliminate the Su family first." In the fighting ring, the 6 people in the south sneered and looked at Lu Ming and the others. "I agree. It's too complicated for 4 sides. Let's eliminate the weakest one first." The 6 people in the west also sneered. Afterward, the people from the 3 parties stepped out and closed in on Lu Ming and the rest. Powerful auras were released one by one. They were all high-level martial royal realm cultivators. Each party had a few 9th-layer martial royal realm cultivators. Among the 6 people of the Su family, except for Su Lei, the others turned pale. 7 days ago, Lu Ming had displayed his strength in the Su family. Only some of the higher-ups and stronger people of the Su family had participated. The young people did not participate, so they had no idea how powerful Lu Ming was. "What should we do?" One of the young men broke out in cold sweat. The other 3 families had external help, and each of them was much stronger than the Su families. The result was obvious even if the 3 families joined forces. "Let's just eliminate them." Lu Ming smiled and walked toward the center of the fighting ring. You want to die? What should we do? What should we do?" One of the young men of the Su family was at a loss. "I think we should just watch." Chapter 1666. The other 4 youths of the Su family were dumbfounded. Watch. What did that mean? The youths of the other 3 families also looked at Lu Ming. What did the Su family mean? Letting one person walk to the center of the field while the other 5 watched from the edge of the fighting ring. What kind of tactic was that? Did they want Lu Ming to deal with the 3 of them alone? At this moment, the other 3 family leaders also frowned. They couldn't see through Lu Ming's cultivation, so they guessed that Lu Ming had practiced some mysterious concealment technique. They thought that no matter how strong Lu Ming's cultivation was, he wouldn't be that strong. But now, it seemed that something was wrong. They had a bad feeling in their hearts. Especially when they saw the Su family's patriarch's calm and composed expression. They felt that something was wrong. "All of you, let's attack together." Lu Ming stood in the center of the fighting ring with his hands behind his back, and said indifferently, "What? Let's attack together? This kid is so arrogant." He is indeed arrogant. With so many of us, we wouldn't even be afraid of a half-saint. Is he a half-saint? Such a young half-saint can only be found in the 13 top sects, and there are very few of them. Now that the treasure meeting is about to begin, those experts are all preparing for it. Why would they participate in the competition of a few small families? Stop pretending to be mysterious. Let's attack together and kick him out of the fighting ring. Surprised and cold voices sounded. Then the experts of the 3 families attacked together. A total of 18 people attacked Lu Ming together. All kinds of lights gathered together, and it was extremely terrifying. With so many experts attacking together, even a first-stage half-saint would have to retreat. Lu Ming didn't move. He just took a step forward. Bang! With one step, the fighting ring shook. 3 9 dragons roared and pounced on the experts of the 3 families. It was unstoppable and unstoppable, rushing over with a crushing momentum. The 18 young experts from the 3 great clans were sent flying backward like 18 rubber balls, vomiting mouthfuls of blood in the air. Bang! 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 The 18 youths fell off the fighting ring like dumplings, lying on the ground and wailing. Silence! The square fell into a dead silence. There was no sound at all. It was over. It ended just like that. Lu Ming had only taken a single step, and the competition had ended just like that. Many warriors of Gusa City had rushed here to watch a fierce battle. They had never imagined that this rare event of Gusu City would end just as it had begun. Some people didn't even see how it ended because they were distracted. The patriarchs of the other three families, as well as the other experts, were tongue-tied, unable to utter a single word. Ha ha ha, thank you for letting me win. This time, the ancestral land belongs to my Su family. The Su family's patriarch laughed out loud. Originally, he was quite depressed because Su Qing couldn't enter the ancestral land, but now he felt a lot better. The four great clans of Gusu City were constantly fighting against each other. When had he ever seen such an expression on the clan heads of the other three great clans? Beside the Su family's patriarch, Su Qing sighed. Su Lei was actually able to obtain Lu Ming's help. She was also helpless. She sighed in her heart. Su Lei's luck was too good. I didn't expect the Su family to invite such a powerful young genius this time. This person should be a genius from one of the 13 top sections. His cultivation must be in the Sage-to-be realm. This time the Su family is lucky. The people of the other clans could only talk about it. Many of the onlookers were also helpless. A grand event had ended just like that. Cut the crap. Now let's go and open the ancestral land, the Su family's patriarch said. The ancestral land required the patriarchs of the four great clans to open it together. This was the rule of Gusu City for many years. Although the other three patriarchs were unwilling, they could only open it. They could only place their hopes on the next competition. Su Lei, let's go. The Su family's patriarch soared into the sky and looked at Su Lei. He then turned his gaze to Lu Ming and said, Brother Lu, every time someone enters the ancestral land, there must be a guardian. Why don't you go in with Su Lei? Alright, no problem. Lu Ming nodded. Lu Ming, Su Lei, and the other four patriarchs soared into the sky and flew towards the northern side of the square. Not far from the northern side of the square, there was a small hall. The crowd walked into the hall and saw a stone wall. There were various strange patterns carved on the stone wall. Let's begin, the Su family's patriarch said. The other three patriarchs nodded. The four of them moved at the same time. Their palms slammed on the stone wall, and their true yuan madly rushed towards the stone wall. The stone wall emitted a dazzling light. Gotcha! The stone wall suddenly cracked, and then a pitch-black vortex appeared. Su Lei, go in. What kind of fortune you can obtain in the ancestral land will depend on your luck, the Su family's patriarch said. Yes. Su Lei nodded and stepped into the vortex with Lu Ming. The space changed. In the next moment, Lu Ming found that they appeared in an open space. The open space was very big, but it was surrounded by a vast expanse of whiteness. In front of them, there was a ball of light suspended in the air like a sun. Is that the ancestor's soul? Su Lei whispered. Then, she respectfully knelt down, facing the ball of light, and kowtowed. And Lu Ming stood beside Su Lei, looking at the ball of light with a thoughtful expression. In the past few days, he had heard Su Lei mention the ancestral land. Su Lei didn't know much. She only knew that every time someone from the four patriarchs came here, they had to kowtow to the ball of light. Then, they would enter the ball of light to obtain the fortune. Sometimes, saint weapons would fly out from the ball of light. Other times, there would be pills, cultivation manuals, or other treasures. As for what one could obtain, it all depended on luck. After Su Lei kowtowed, she walked towards the ball of light. When she was a certain distance away, the ball of light shot down a beam of light, landing on Su Lei's body. Su Lei's body trembled slightly, as if she was under great pressure, but she gritted her teeth and endured. Lu Ming was constantly paying attention to Su Lei. If anything happened to Su Lei, he would immediately rescue her. In the past, there were disciples of the four patriarchs who couldn't withstand the pressure of the beam of light and died here. Therefore, when they entered later, there would be someone following them to protect them. Su Lei gritted her teeth. Her delicate little face revealed a stubborn and determined expression as she continued to walk forward. Step by step, Su Lei seemed to be walking with great difficulty. Soon her body was drenched in sweat. Her face was dripping with sweat. However, Su Lei didn't give up. She continued to grit her teeth and walked forward resolutely. Soon, Su Lei's petite body trembled more and more violently. Blood even seeped out of her skin. Lu Ming didn't make a move. He knew that this was a test for Su Lei. As long as Su Lei endured it, she would undergo a transformation. Chapter 1667. Under Lu Ming's gaze, Su Lei continued to move forward. Roar. Suddenly, a dragon's roar came from Su Lei's body. The shadow of a true dragon appeared on Su Lei's body, emitting a shocking chill. Mysticaline dragon physique. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Suddenly, a dragon's roar resounded from within the ball of resplendent light. After that, the ball of light flew towards Su Lei and enveloped her within. Slowly, the light turned into a true dragon. The appearance of the true dragon was very similar to the true void that appeared on Su Lei's body. Mysticaline dragon. Roar. The true dragon formed by the light wrapped around Su Lei. Su Lei seemed to feel something and sat down cross-legged with her eyes closed. She looked solemn. Whoosh. In front, a bracelet flew over and floated above Su Lei's head. Inheritance storage bracelet. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat and a smile appeared on his face. Then he took a step forward and appeared at the location of the ball of light. Over there, a snow-white skeleton was lying on the ground. The skeleton of a true dragon. As expected, the smile on Lu Ming's face became even wider. It turned out that a powerful true dragon had fallen in the so-called ancestral land. Although the true dragon had fallen, its soul had not been extinguished. Therefore, every time a disciple of the Su family came, the true dragon's soul would bestow a treasure to them. The bracelet floating above Su Lei's head was the true dragon's storage bracelet. The function of the storage bracelet was the same as the storage ring. It contained space and was a treasure for storing items. Moreover, this true dragon was the mystical dragon, which was completely compatible with Su Lei's body. Therefore, when Su Lei came in this time, the true dragon's soul directly passed the inheritance to her. From then on, the disciples of the four great families would not be able to get any benefits when they came in again. Lu Ming thought about it and understood everything. This was Su Lei's opportunity. However, this dragon bone was very useful to Lu Ming. This mystical dragon was definitely above the bright saint realm when it was alive. It was at least above the eminent saint realm. Since Lu Ming had come across it, he would not miss it. With a wave of his hand, Zhang Xian stowed the dragon bone away before sitting down not too far away from Su Lei and waiting patiently. From the looks of it, the succession process would not end anytime soon. The shadow of the mystical dragon coiled around Su Lei's body as the light continued to seep into her body. Time passed day by day. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. At this time, the true dragon coiling around Su Lei's body had completely disappeared. Su Lei's body emitted a terrifying cold qi, and a river of profound water coiled around her body. My flesh has evolved into a superior earth spiritual body, which is extremely close to the heaven spiritual body. My cultivation has also reached the peak 6th layer martial dominator realm. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with astonishment. Su Lei's body constitution used to be a medium earth spiritual body, but now it was a superior earth spiritual body. She was very close to a heavenly spiritual body. The mysterious river was extremely powerful. An ordinary LV6, or even LV7 martial royal realm cultivator, would be frozen to death. On the other hand, Su Lei's cultivation had previously been at the early stage of the 6th layer martial dominator realm. Although the improvement was not significant, her cultivation would improve tremendously in the future. Lu Ming let out a smile. He was happy for this kind little girl. Roar. An earth-shattering dragon roar resounded in the air. A beam of light shot out from Su Lei's body and pierced into the heavens. The entire region started to shake violently. Lu Ming knew that the succession process had entered the final stage. The spirit of the mystical dragon was about to be destroyed. However, it was her own choice. Outside the ancestral ground, the patriarchs of the 4 clans and the others were waiting. What's going on? Why is it taking so long to enter the ancestral ground? It's been half a month. Previously, the longest it took for the others to come out of the ancestral ground was 3 days. Why has it been half a month this time? Don't tell me they have all died in there. Many people guessed. The patriarchs of the four clans wore unpleasant expressions. Roar. Suddenly, a heaven-shaking dragon roar came from the ancestral land. Then the vortex on the stone wall emitted a resplendent light. The stone wall began to violently tremble, and then with a bang it exploded. How could this be? What's going on in there? The patriarchs of the various clans yelled. At this moment, from all four directions of Wuxia city, an incomparably frightening aura exploded forth. Boundless oppressive might envelop the entire Wuxia city. Following this, four figures appeared in the air. Each figure was enveloped in a brilliant sacred glow, unleashing a sacred aura. Sacred Realm experts, the Sacred Realm ancestors of the four clans have been alerted. Someone exclaimed. The four Sacred Realm ancestors of the four clans had arrived at the entrance of the ancestral ground. What's going on? The Su clan's patriarch said. Patriarch, I don't know what's going on. Su Lei and the others have been in there for half a month, but they still haven't come out. The patriarch of the Su clan said. There's something going on in the ancestral ground. Let's go and take a look. Let's go. The Sacred Realm ancestors of the other clans spoke one after another, then stepped out, rushed into the vortex, and disappeared. The patriarchs of the various clans also followed their patriarchs into the ancestral ground. Let's go in too. The Su clan's patriarch said to the Su clan's patriarch, and then the two of them rushed into the ancestral ground. As soon as the Sacred Realm ancestors and patriarchs of the four clans entered the ancestral ground, they saw Lu Ming and Su Lei sitting cross-legged. However, everyone's gaze fell on Su Lei. The inheritance has been taken by her. Damn it! The Sacred Realm ancestors of the other three clans growled one after another, their eyes bursting with shocking murderous intent. What are you trying to do? This is the Su clan's disciples' opportunity. Do you want to interfere? The Su clan's Sacred Realm ancestor said. What opportunity? This place originally belonged to our four clans. Now that she has taken the inheritance, the younger generation will not be able to get anything here. Yes, that storage bracelet should be left behind by the ancestral ground. We must take it and divide the treasures inside equally. The Sacred Realm ancestors spoke one after another. The Su clan's patriarch and patriarch's faces were ugly. These people were too overbearing. According to the rules of the four clans, the younger generation who entered the ancestral ground, no matter what opportunity they obtained, would belong to them, of course, including all the inheritance. But now, the other patriarchs were obviously jealous and unwilling to accept this, and wanted to divide it equally. These Sacred Realm ancestors naturally knew about the ancestral ground, but in the past, when the mystical Een dragon's soul was still there, even they did not dare to have any ideas about it. This was because in the past, there were Sacred Realm experts who had ideas about the mystical Een dragon's soul and were killed here. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.